Hey, what's going on with you? It's Jaron Lockridge, director, writer, producer, and you're listening to Brink Radio.
Another Brink Radio exclusive.
What's happening, everybody? Of course, it's your host, Brink Young, coming straight out of them South Memphis slums, and you are listening to Brink Radio right here on 96.3 FM, talking about bumping 96.3 because you know Brink put the B in bumping. Look, we got a super tremendous guest on the show tonight, and I got to say this, it's not that often that we get filmmakers on the show, but when we do, we turn the F up. We're talking about film producer, director, and writer, Jaron Lockridge. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad to be here.
Hey, first and foremost, I got to say thank you for being a guest on the show, man. It means a lot to have you kicking it with us tonight on Brink Radio.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me.
Hey, like I say, man, my man made this trek all the way from Jackson, Tennessee to Memphis, Tennessee. Now, of course, you know I got to plug in those nicknames. We talking about Memphganistan, Jackistan, the sister cities, man. They don't want no smoke with us, man. We got music on lock, and we got movies on lock, thanks to my guy, Jiren Lockridge. Like I say, he's got a whole bunch of projects out right now on several platforms. Of course, you guys like Tubi. I like Tubi, too. He's there. Of course, you guys like Amazon Prime. I like it, too. He's there. He's all over the place. You on iTunes, right?
I'm on iTunes, yeah.
He's everywhere. Yeah. And he on YouTube. So let's go ahead and get into your story, man. Where are you from originally? Where are you from exactly?
I'm originally from Bolivar, Tennessee, man.
Okay.
Yeah. Grew up there. Born in Nashville. Grew up in Bolivar. Moved there when I was like 9 or 10. And I'm currently been in Jackson now for the past 10 years.
Tell me about Bolivar, man. What is it like in Bolivar, Tennessee? I've heard of it. I want to say, is Willie Kemp from there?
Yeah,
basketball player.
Yeah, Willie. Man, it was a small town, man. Small town. Almost everybody know everybody, or you know somebody who's related to somebody.
Yeah.
It's what made me what I am today, because it's one of those where you, in order to go. You know, that's why we so familiar with Memphis. You know, either it's Jackson or Memphis. You're making that trip to do something, or, you know, you're hooping in the city, and it's one of those spots where it's unlike any other. You know, it's just a small town, Tennessee, same issues like everywhere else. That's why, you know, when I write, I kind of incorporate some of the life in Bolivar and how it is growing up, because everybody think you know, milking cows and stuff, but that ain't what it is. So, you know, it's just a small town, you know, same life as everybody else. And we got some unique stuff around there, man.
Definitely got to say shout out to everybody out there in Bolivar, Tennessee, Hardeman County. Y'all know y'all got to stand up, man. Like I say, you got family here in Memphis. We talk about Uncle Brink. You know what's happening. You know what's going on. So I did read that you actually you had a class in high school. It was drama. You took drama class in high school. So was the idea to be an actor always, or be a filmmaker, or what?
Man, I kind of went off into that class by accident. I remember I needed an elective or something that year, and I was like, I'm finna take drama. So I just kind of fell off in it, didn't think nothing about it, and just fell in love with it. Yeah. So I ended up writing a stage play that they ended up performing for the spring play, and I think they kind of started even after I left, was still performing it as a spring play. So I went in, you know, I think I acted in a stage play, but I just fell in love with writing. I just fell in love with the arts altogether when I took that class.
That's incredible, man. So this stage play you were acting in, man, is there any footage of it anywhere, man? I got to see this.
I doubt it. If it is, it's probably at the school, and I need to do better and go back and visit the school. My drama teacher, shout out to Miss Hodge. She got that fire lit. She just retired not too long ago. So I don't know. It might be some footage, but it's probably deep in them archives.
On VHS, man. You understand me? So let's go ahead and talk about you acting, because you actually were featured in one of your own movies. And I kind of look at that like, you know, my guy Spike Lee. You know what I'm saying? Where you kind of act and direct. How often do you appear in your own films?
It's not voluntarily. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
What I want to do is direct and create the movies.
Yeah.
So I hardly ever want to be in front of the camera. And if you see me in front of the camera on the movie, it's mostly because something fell through on the casting. So, you know, somebody didn't show up or something, especially in them earlier projects.
Yeah.
So, if you saw me in the movie, it was because of that. I had to keep the show rolling.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just jumped in there and got in front of that camera.
No doubt, man. So, of course, let's go ahead and talk about your filmmaking process. How would you describe it?
Out of the ordinary, I'll put it that way.
Okay.
when I first started filmmaking, if I had listened to a lot of people that was in the industry, I'd probably been too scared to do it. So I say a lot of me being where I am today is because I was so naive when I first started.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you weren't supposed to film and do sound and do all this by yourself. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't know you supposed to have a team of people doing this.
Correct.
So when I started, you know, I just jumped out there. I was doing the sound. I had me a camera with the mic on it, and I was like, man, I'm just finna make a movie, you know. And when people were like, you did all this by yourself? Like, what? Man, you lying. Like, oh, you know, I didn't know that. So if I had met a lot of people after I started getting into the industry, I probably would have been too scared to even start it. But by me being so naive and not knowing how the business works, it kind of brought this, I would say, outlaw type mentality to the way I just kind of went out there and taught myself these skills and was kind of one man banding it for a while, and got it to a point where I got my own system to where I can make high quality projects without having 40, 50 people behind the camera. So that's something that's worked out for me.
And that's pretty damn impressive in my opinion, man, to have the whole one man band, you know, situation going on. Of course, I am one of those people as well, but you actually have a moniker. We're talking about the Guerrilla Filmer.
Yeah.
And I love that because to me, my perception of that is running gun. Yep. We finna get this shot, you know, permits. What permits? What we talking about?
Exactly,
you know
man.
what I'm saying?
Exactly.
How would you describe it?
That's exactly what it is. Guerrilla filmmaking, man. Usually skeleton crews.
Yeah.
Just getting how you live. You know, like you pretty much never ask for permission. You can ask for forgiveness later.
There
You know,
you
just go ahead and get it out there and do it. And you know, one thing about being right here in Tennessee, you don't have to worry about the permit situation and stuff like maybe LA or something. So we kind of blessed here to where we can go out there and create and don't have to worry about a lot of those issues. But you know, man, I'm so used to it. Like, hey, can I film in this location?
Right.
Yeah, you got an hour.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to squeeze in all this in an hour, and you know, just having to get it on the run and gun tip. So that's kind of what made me a better filmmaker, learning how to deal with these problems with no money, no time, and still having to get it done.
Absolutely. Now, before we get into a few of your projects, man, I want to talk about the fact that you're such a big fan of Tyler Perry. How did he become such a major influence on your career?
Tyler Perry, especially when it came to writing my first stage play, you know, this is when Tyler Perry was blowing up. So, you know, just kind of seeing how he came from nothing and self-made. You know, I'm not a total fan of his work per se, but him as a businessman, as a mogul, as what he's brought himself up to being a billionaire self-made is like the ultimate inspiration. And like when no critic loves his work, he knows his audience and he feeds his audience, and his audience got him where he's at. Yeah. So he doesn't need the acceptance of anybody to do what he does. And that's what's so inspirational to me is that, you know, even when everybody was telling him he needed to do one way, he didn't do that. Yeah. You know, he stuck to his guns. And I mean, he's one of the biggest self-made entertainers out there. So that's a dope inspiration.
Man, I definitely watched that documentary that he had on Amazon Prime, and I was just blown away. Yeah. You know, I'm all about people's journey. I'm all about where they came from, where they started, and how they elevated. Like, I love to see the evolution of anything. Like, I'm big on that. But it's time for us to go ahead and get into some of your work, man. The Stix, we're talking about a crime drama series. It began actually in, 2018?
Yeah, 2018, I think, was when we posted the first episodes on YouTube and Amazon.
Okay, so we talking about 7-episode season. Now, I ain't gonna lie, man. The show actually begins very, very crazy. It's like bro walk in and his lady in the bed getting, well, I ain't finna get into all that on the radio, but it was nuts, man. Let's talk about it.
Man, that was one of those super ambitious ideas that I came up with, and started off as a short film, came up here. It was accepted. It was a competition in town at the time called the Memphis Film Prize. Okay. And I had the idea of doing it as a web series. So I was like, the prize for winning that competition was $10,000. So when we got the short film version, which that part that you're talking about, the whole part until they leave in the truck is a part of the short film. Okay. So when we got into the film festival, I was like, man, if we can get this prize, this $10,000, I'm gonna make this whole series because that bread will be useful. And we didn't win the competition, so I hit up everybody in the cast and was like, hey, we didn't win this competition. I ain't got no money. Do y'all still want to do this web series?
Yeah.
And everybody was like, man, let's do it. So we did that joint, no budget. I
Wow.
mean, when I tell you no budget, and came out with a 7-episode web series. And that joint ended up, it started off high on YouTube, then slowed down, and then Amazon picked it up, and it just took off. And I think that joint hit like 2 million unique views.
Wow.
And that joint took off. And I ain't even gonna cap, man. That series, the stress of putting that joint together almost took me out. But that's a good friend of mine that's passed away now. He just loved that series, and he was like, bro, you gotta bring that back, man. You gotta find a way to bring that back. And that's how we got here with the movie. Man,
you definitely mentioned my guy Everett Anderson. That guy is a beast when it comes to acting, man. Definitely want to give him a shout out. So you mentioned the movie. Wait a minute. So the Stix is now a movie. It was actually released on June 28th, and it's available where?
It's gonna be available. It's on iTunes, Amazon. It should be coming up soon on Roku and eventually all the other platforms. So right now, iTunes or Amazon, and then it'll be coming up on, I don't know if anybody still does in-demand on cable and all that, but it'll be on that too.
No doubt, man. And of course, you had a screening for it. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I had a screening up here in the M. Malco Cordova, sold out screening. Amazing screening. It was one of those where, as a filmmaker, especially now since I've had so many, the experience of completing a movie is I still don't take that for granted. That's a miracle, especially at this budget level, still being able to complete a movie. But the screening is what you look forward to. It's when you get the first time to see it with people who hadn't seen it before.
Right.
And you can see if, all right, this part here where I wanted everybody to kind of, be in suspense. Are they in suspense? This part here where people were supposed to laugh. Did they laugh? So you kind of see if everything worked like you intended it to. Yeah. And the screening was just amazing, man. So we got a great response. Everybody was waiting, like, hey, when is it coming out? When is it coming out?
Yeah.
So it made me feel good about the release. So I'm looking forward to all this.
Now, I do understand that the movie actually takes a small detour from the series where now it's centered around DJ, which is played by my guy Mogul Arnold, a.k.a. VVS, a.k.a. Pimptastic. That's one of my day ones, man. Yeah. So let's talk about it, man.
Yeah, I totally rewrote the story because as a series, trying to get season 2 off the ground, it just wouldn't work out. And I knew when I decided to make it a movie, everybody was going to be expecting a continuation of their season 1. Yeah. So that's why I went back to the drawing board, totally recreated the story, and was thinking, like, how can I do this but keep it somewhat in the vein of that series? Yeah. And VVS, he had a very small role in the series, and then I kind of thought of, how can I make his character like the nucleus of this story? And once you see the movie, you'll see like his actions is like centerpiece of stuff that goes on in this movie. And he was always like, man, whenever you got a role for me, hit me up. Yeah. And I said, hey, I'm gonna call you on that. So I eventually called him on it, and he did a great job. Like, I think he's gonna be a highlight. A lot of people who don't know him for acting, they're gonna see him on that screen and be like, man, you should have been doing that.
Man, I promise, man. Definitely got to shout out my guy VVS, a.k.a. Pimptastic, a.k.a. Mogul Arnold, man. He's doing his thing out here. Sure. And it's funny how you mentioned, people going to tell him he should have been acting. Like, I saw that on him back in 2010. Yeah. Like, when he first did the Polo Man video. You know what I'm saying? And I see him, he was slightly acting on there. And I'm like, this guy's got something. Yeah. All right, so, of course, another one of your series, and I'm starting to see a trend that your series kind of morph into movies. Another series you did, it's actually an award-winning series. We're talking about Down Bad. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, Down Bad, 9 episodes, I believe. We put in work on that joint, came up with this series. I just wanted an authentic story about these friends, man. These friends that grew up in the hood, but not focusing on the negative stuff
Yeah.
that most shows do. But I just wanted this authentic story of these guys dealing with their own situations and stuff coming up, and put it out and on Amazon at first. And anybody that knows about Amazon, like they always tripping, like always tripping. And they totally messed up my release. They hit us with this because when you first release it, it was on the Prime, the subscription.
Correct.
That you can just go watch it if you got a Prime subscription. And they hit me with an email that, we're cutting off the Prime on this certain date. And that certain date happened to be like the time I was scheduled to release the second episode.
Wow.
So I had to just submit all my episodes, and it just kind of threw everything off, building the anticipation for the release and all this and that. And eventually, like, it kind of hit a wall when all the episodes was out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I feel like this project is good. I can't just let it sit here and die, So Tubi wasn't picking it up. When nobody, for some reason, they weren't picking it up as a series. So I said, you know what? It's 4 hours worth of footage. Let me go and edit this joint down. Edit as tight as I possibly can without hurting the story. Got it down to a little bit under 2.5 hours, which is crazy long for a movie. But that joint hit Tubi, man, and just opened up doors. Like that was the best decision that I ever could have done for my career, because Down Bad led to what we eventually talk about, Betray.
Yep.
Led to the Stix now into my other movie. Like, it financed all three of them joints.
Yeah.
So the success and that decision of not sulking and taking that L, actually going back to the drawing board and re-editing that joint as a movie was one of the best decisions in my career so far.
Hey, man, I definitely got to shout you out for that, because to have the wherewithal to not give up when they throw you all these curveballs and moments of adversity, you said, nah, we still finna make this thing pop. Right. And it did, and it leads us to Betray. Now, it's funny, like, we were talking off the air, and you told me that Betray was actually the first project that you did in 2016, but you decided to go ahead and redo it because the project was so good. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. First project, Green, and like that project, like that was a lot of issues with that joint. Like indie film, period, you're gonna run into issues.
Yes.
I felt like I ended up having to cut so many scenes out because with that first movie, I dealt with this editor, this guy in Nashville. This me still learning the business. I go up there. This dude offered to edit my entire movie for $200.
Wow.
Should have been the first red flag.
Yeah.
But I went up there, spent the night on this dude's couch while he was editing my movie. Woke up that next day thinking like maybe my movie's done. Like I said, I don't know anything about the business.
Yeah.
He didn't edit it like a scene. Hey man, let me work on this a few weeks and I'll get it back to you. Okay, cool. You kind of wasted my time telling me to come up here like it's gonna be done, but okay, cool. So that guy ended up moving to Seattle.
Wow.
With my movie, never got it. And a good friend of mine, best friend now, named Dallas, he ordered some editing software, edited that joint for me.
Yeah.
So we ended up still getting the movie out, but I felt like it had so much potential now that I'm almost 8-10 years later as a filmmaker. And I was like, man, that idea had so much potential. Let me go back and revisit that.
Yeah.
So I just remade it. And that joint went wild.
Yeah, man. We talking about this movie was actually the number 2 most popular movie on Tubi when it released.
Yeah.
That's a major accomplishment, man.
Yeah.
And then we talking about most popular, not the negative, like this movie's trash, this movie, is poor, low budget. No, that movie is dope.
Yeah.
It's dope. Like, I checked it out, man. Definitely got to say shout out to my girl, Shy Smith, or Dreek. I don't know how she want to be, addressed these days. It's been a minute since we talked, but hey, she did a thing in that movie.
Yeah, she did a thing, man. She was such a pleasure to work with. She was so dedicated to the role. And that's not something that you always get. So when you get an actress or actor that's dedicated to the craft that much, that all they care about is the end, project. Yeah. They care about what's gonna be on that screen, that they'll do anything. She was sick in that joint. Wow. And it was a point where I was like, man, I don't know if we're gonna finish it when we was supposed to finish it. And she did it sick. And I gotta commend her for that. She's a real dope actress. I think slept on actress.
Definitely.
And man, I gotta give a shout out to Shy.
No doubt, man. And it's funny, the movie's plot, it seems to be a reoccurring theme in our community, man. Expound on that, because what happens in the movie is nuts.
Yeah.
That's real nuts. Like, I've seen it.
Yeah.
It ain't happened to me, thank God, but I've seen it like so many times.
Yeah. Well, what my angle with it was, I wanted to kind of show it without glorifying it.
Okay.
So, you know, with the issues that went on, like, communication could have fixed a lot of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you see that ending, that very ending shot, which is kind of polarizing, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I get more questions about the ending of that movie, which should be obvious. But, like, when you see that ending and then that door shuts on her and her look like karma just was fulfilled at that point.
Yeah.
So it just kind of, you know, in a way, the message that I put through in that movie just kind of centered in that last shot. And, you know, without even having to say a word, and then she walks off into, you know, what the rest of her life is going to be. So it was one of those where I kind of wanted to put a little message in there without it being on the nose. And, like, that ending to me is, without a word being said, is dope to me, even though I still got to ask questions about who, you know, who is that on the floor, who that belonged to, but which should be obvious, but it is what it is.
Man, and I agree with you on the communication part. Not to like really tell the movie, but bruh could have let his wife know that he was out of town with a female assistant coach, you know. Hey, you could come on now. Let's step that communication up. But I mean, is it grounds for maybe a part 2, or is there, I mean, like, what are your thoughts?
Well, that story, it is because if you look at the Facebook and the Instagram page, I got it Betray series.
Okay.
But it's an anthology.
Got you.
Yeah, so it's the series are similar in theme and tone.
Okay.
Stories on deceit, betrayal, stuff like that, instead of continuations.
Got you.
In my mind, that situation with Joel and Candace is wrapped up. Like, it's nowhere more for that to go. Like, he's moved on, she's moved on, and to me, making a part 2 just because, hey, we need to see a part 2, you're forcing it at that point.
I got you.
And you can kind of kill the quality, or when you're trying to just push it out there because of, like, it has to be a reason.
I got you.
But yeah, I'm actually writing. I might end up changing the name because, like I said, I've said before that this is an anthology series, and I'm not sure if a lot of people understand what anthology means.
Correct.
So I might end up changing the name of the next installment and just say a part of the Betray movie series and do it that way. Yeah,
no doubt, man. So, of course, I was looking on your Facebook, man, and I remember seeing a post where someone messaged you saying that they saw the movie Betray listed on Amazon, but they was like, I got to pay to watch it. When will it be on Tubi? Obviously saying for free.
Yeah.
How do you feel, or how do you deal with or respond with people who not willing to pay for your product?
It's crazy, man, because it's easy to get mad.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy, because we spend so much money. Like,
yes.
It really takes you, like, you know.
Yeah.
Like, anybody who's on the creative side, or entrepreneur, or anything that puts money into building something, you know how much time, blood, sweat, and tears goes into that.
Correct.
So, you know, it's kind of like a spit in the face, like, oh, man, it's for sale. I'll just wait till it's free.
And I think on the post you said that it was actually like $2 on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon put that joint on there for free, basically. Like, I think you could have rented it for 99 cents.
Wow.
And you buy it for $2.
Yeah.
So, like, it's almost free as it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody was like, you know, that's the good and bad thing about Tubi. But, you know, you get the messages, I'll just wait till it's on Tubi. I'm like, bro, it's just 99 cents.
Right.
But, hey, it is what it is. You can get mad over it easily, but you just had to keep trucking. You know, you still have people out there who love to pay for content.
Correct.
You do actually have people who still value movies and value stuff like that. And then you have people who don't. They just want something to waste time in a day. And you just got to know that you got two sides of the coin there.
Definitely, man. But normally when we have artists on the show, we'll play their song. Like, you're not technically an artist, but you got anything we can play, man? Maybe like a trailer or something like that? What are we doing tonight? Yeah,
man, I can give you the Stix trailer. We can play that.
All right, go ahead. Introduce it to the Brink Radio world, man.
All right, this is the trailer for the Stix It's out right now, Amazon and iTunes. Starring my guy Everett Anderson, VVS, aka Pimptastic. Y'all check out the trailer for the Stix.
I'll do anything to make this right, bro. I promise you. I'll do anything. Don't do this.
He'll do anything, huh? Say that then.
This ain't the first or last time our leash gets tied in one day and or loosened the next. Right now, we got the green light. Take advantage of it.
What's up? Buck told Martell you ain't copping work no more. So word is, Martell think you on the offensive.
I don't even want you. I want Martell, and you gonna help me get her.
There's never been a war where the economy didn't take a nosedive after the first shots were fired. I suggest you figure this little situation out and do it fast. Because I have no intention of slowing that wheel down.
From the Stix. Welcome to the Stix. You either hurt or you go hungry. Defend or you gon' die. Did what I did because I had to survive. I come from the
And of course, we back. We're talking about Brink Radio right here on 96.3 FM. I'm your host, Brink Young, coming straight out of them South Memphis slums, pinky and the thumb, trying to get y'all sprung while I get me some. You just heard the Stix universe. We're talking about movie trailer. Movie is available right now on Amazon and you said iTunes, correct?
iTunes.
Hey, it's out there, man. Hey, y'all got to tap in with that movie. So this gentleman right here on the show, we talking about Jaron Lockridge. He's a film producer. He's a director. He's a writer. He actually has 11 feature films under his belt. You've been working, man. You've been working. You actually got a new film that's going to be coming out this fall. You recently wrapped up production on it. We're talking about Cubic Zirconia. Tell me what that's about.
And Cubic Zirconia is about it's a family that goes missing.
Okay.
And they ended up finding the mother. It's a family, 2 kids and a mother. They find the mother deceased, so the detectives are on a spree to try to find these children and the answers to what caused everything. So it's a good old-fashioned mystery, crime mystery, thriller in the vein of Seven, movies like Prisoners.
Yeah.
Just one of those where that mystery, when you get to it, you kind of look back and be like, wow, you know, it's just one of those mind-blowing joints, and I love it, man. I just finished a rough copy of it. It's right now, it's getting scored, which means getting music composed for it.
Correct.
And yeah, I think it's gonna be hot. So it's the second installment in the Stix universe thing that I'm creating.
Okay.
And it should be ready this fall.
One thing that's incredible about your projects, man, that I've noticed is the diversity in your films. Like, you have any race you can think of is in your projects, man. Is that ever a task or challenging to cast people for these roles? Because I'm going to be honest, like in Memphis, it's a little bit harder, you know, to do that. Like, I see constantly independent filmmakers on Facebook, hey, casting for a role for a white male, age 50 to 55, such and such. And it's like, you end up not seeing that role in the film, you know, because it's hard to cast. Let's talk about how challenging that is for you.
I mean, casting, especially on the indie level, it's tough regardless, because you have this perception, which I hate to say it this way, but pay is ruling everything.
Yeah.
And I get it, because when I first started, and you know, people want to be compensated for their time, and if they're not compensated for their time, they want their time to be worth whatever's spent on this project. So you have a lot of issues where, you know, certain filmmakers would start projects, never put them out, and that cast or person never got paid. So that was a bad experience to where they won't even deal with like local people anymore.
Correct.
And then you have issues where, you know, just bad experiences on set. So that's one thing where, like, when it comes to my project, like I'm a stickler on the experience on set and following through with my word. So a lot of people I feel, look when I'm releasing a project, they kind of gravitate toward my projects because I have a rep that I'm gonna follow through with what I said I'm gonna do.
Right.
And if I can, I'm gonna communicate that with you until we get that worked out. So, you know, I'm just big on safety on sets, making sure that you know that I'm gonna give my all to this project and your time's not gonna be wasted, and I'm gonna try my best to compensate you either now or later.
Yeah.
So I just think, you know, early on I had to work with friends and family.
Yeah.
And now I'm at a point to where people look forward to working with me, and I don't take that for granted because I worked hard to get that reputation, and even in this local, you know, part of the industry to be a person that people want to work with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got a question, man. How was it working during the pandemic for you?
It was challenging. Like when the pandemic happened, for one, I'm the person who just couldn't sit down. So we actually filmed a movie. and with the Stix series, that's a lot of the reason why season 2 never popped off, because people weren't comfortable working with COVID. So I ended up having to rewrite the series. And one of my lead guys ended up getting sick, and I ended up having to table that one. So we ended up actually shooting a movie like that summer when everything kind of slowed down when COVID first hit. And it was something new because, I mean, nobody dealt with it before. So we're wearing the mask and making sure there wasn't too many people on set and checking the temperatures. It was something new, but because how I film, being you know, the Guerrilla film or whatever, my set's already small. So it's just me, my wife, 1 or 2 actors. So it's already nobody there. So it made that a lot easier to work during COVID because we ain't got 50 people on set. So it really wasn't that much of an adjustment, just making sure that when nobody's sick and all this and that going on. So other than just the unknown of COVID, it really didn't stop much as long as we could find people who were willing to come to set and who were comfortable acting during that time.
So with you being a filmmaker, man, we got to talk about some of the issues that you've ran into as far as being on set or maybe from personnel or actors and stuff like that, because we're not going to act like it doesn't happen. Sometimes I've seen recasting happen in movies before. Like we're talking about knee deep into a project with a certain actor or actress, and then you hit a wall, and then all of a sudden we got to reshoot this whole thing. Talk about it, man. Man,
early on, I dealt with it a lot. Like, it wasn't a project, even till like most recently, it wasn't a project where I didn't have somebody drop out or something. And like now I'm big on contracts. So like if you don't show up after I spent all this money, we going to court. Like, it's just that simple. But like, you used to always deal with somebody dropping out and then having to pivot. Like, especially, I used to generalize my script so much because I knew I might have to pivot on something and kind of rewrite it on set. So like, you deal with that all the time. And like, so many movies up until recently, like maybe even Betrayed, like I can't watch them because that wasn't my vision. Something would happen to where I had to change it and do this and that, and that wasn't the project that I envisioned, and I had to do this just to complete it. So you deal with that all the time. Location owners, man.
You struck a nerve with that one, dude. We gonna talk off camera about that.
Man, it's stressful. Like, when I root for great indie filmmakers, man, because I know the struggles we go through.
Facts.
Like, when you got money and you can rent out entire buildings and like, but when you dealing with location owners, hey man, I need you in and out in 2 hours. You can only film in this room.
Right.
I need y'all to be quiet. Like, that puts so much of a harness on your creative ability that you have to be so creative already because you don't have money, but you have to be even more creative to get your project off the ground now because you got these constrictions over you by, location owners or this actor deciding to do this and that on the day of set. So, man, like, I tell anybody, like, filmmaking on the indie level, the true indie level, it ain't for the weak.
Man, I definitely got to commend you, though, because, whether you see it or other people see it or not, I see the cape. You have a cape on. You're a superhero, because just imagine the things that you will be able to do with a major motion picture budget. You know.
Yeah.
How does it feel when people watch your films? Because you just spoke on this. It's you watch a movie and it's hard for you to watch because it wasn't exactly your vision. How does it feel when people watch it and they fall in love with the project anyway? But you like, but in the back of your mind is like, well, it was supposed to look like this.
Yeah. It just lets me know, like, if I can ever get that project, which you probably never get a project 100% the way you know.
Yeah.
But it just lets me know that even half of what my vision was, that I'm on to something.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm on to something that I can continue to build on. And, you know, when people attach to work, that the heart of the story is still there, although it didn't totally match my vision. So that works out when it comes to that, and that's exciting. But yeah, it's a lot of these projects that I can go back to, and I'm like, and you see people like, man, that was good. Like with the first Betray, I cannot watch that movie. Like I wanted to delete it, but to out of respect for the people involved, I left it up on YouTube.
Correct.
But you still have a few people here like, man, I like that, man. I was saying, I don't understand what you like about it, but hey, you know, art is subjective. Art is subjective. That's like with, you know, some of the stuff on Tubi and everything. Like art is subjective. Everything has an audience, and you know, when somebody, you know, you just can't take it for granted. So if somebody, you know, compliments your work, I appreciate that.
It's definitely a market for everything, man. Yeah. But of course, I would like to know: have you ever ran into issues or disagreements with an actor based on the script? Because sometimes maybe there may be a role and a guy sees something is like, that ain't me, I'm uncomfortable doing it. Mm-hmm. Or maybe, you know, sometimes you have sex scenes and stuff like that, or nude scenes, stuff like that. Have you ever had those issues or disagreements or conversations?
I haven't. I've had an instance once, I believe it was Down Bad, where, you know, everything was already agreed upon, because I'm a over talker. I'm the type of person, like, if it's something in a scene or something, I'm gonna make sure you know about it.
Correct.
Make sure you understand it, and I'm gonna make sure you agree to it. Then I'm gonna circle back around later. Hey, just make sure we still good with this.
Making sure.
Yeah, and then, you know, and I always do that. And then, like you said, usually you still get on set, and then, well, but you've already, you know,
right, you agreed to it.
You know, a lot of times to kind of get your project done, you'll kind of have to fold on some things.
Yeah.
But, you know, like at this point now, like when it's at the point I am now with my projects, I'm like, some of the stuff I used to budge on, like if you read the script, you accepted the script, like I'm not budging on it.
Correct.
So like, and I'm one of those people, I'm very communicative. I communicate with people beforehand so much that, like, we all grown, we all professionals. If it's something that you didn't like, don't wait till set to say that.
Right.
You feel me? So, you know, now I'm a lot more strong on my stance, whereas back then, where I probably wasn't paying nothing but $50, $60 a day, like, you know, let's just get through this. Well, now, nah, we've already had all these conversations before now. This is what it's gonna be. So, I've dealt with it. Almost everybody's dealt with it, but I'm good on casting now to a point to where I know the professionals when I cast them.
Yeah, and
you eliminate a lot of those headaches from the jump by the way you cast people, and I've learned that on the way.
Absolutely, it's about professionalism at the end of the day. Yeah. I gotta know, what's your casting process like?
Man, a lot of times it was just dealing with people that I've worked with before. And I still, you know, I put a casting call out there.
Yeah.
I got a group on my Facebook page, but I'm about to move all that to like a newsletter on my website. And I put out casting notice. We'll take submissions and go through that process. But a lot of times I love working with people that I know I can trust. So like a lot of my regulars, especially when I'm writing, I'll come up in my mind and I'll start seeing certain actors in roles, or they kind of cast themselves in roles. And like with my movie, one of my horror movies, my guy Keenan, I saw him as that role.
Yeah.
So I wrote him into it, and if he hadn't accepted it, I don't know if I probably would have went with it or not, but because I saw him so, you know, strongly in that role. But Like a lot of times I'm such a visual writer that I see people in certain roles and I just offer it to them at that point. Like, hey, read the script, let me know if you want it or not. And that's a way I cast a lot of times. And then a lot of times I just send out notices and go through the ordinary process, submissions and auditions.
Man, Keenan is dope, man. Of course, it's time for us to go ahead transition into The Reaper, man. There's a horror film. Now, it's incredible that you do all genres of movies, you know, the fact that you have a few horror films. So let's talk about The Reaper, man.
Yeah. Man, The Reaper, man, is a pretty dope project, man. It's about a husband that passes away and the wife is just so distraught and missing him that one day she goes to see this voodoo priest. Just throwing a shot in the dark, just in her grieving process, didn't even think it was gonna work. And then this entity comes back as her husband, which is the Reaper, man, and he just avenges everything that happens. And Keenan, man, he came in, he killed that role, and that was another one that I had like minimal budget on to make that joint happen, and that ended up being a pretty dope project. And that project be kind of special because my father passed in the middle of producing that project.
Wow.
So like we had I want to say a weekend left to film, and I ended up going to set with my pop's father, the funeral that following Monday.
Wow.
Completing that joint. So that's why, like now, you know, dealing with that, you know, the man who guided me through life, like if I could, you know, you can't hold that against other people, but like my dedication to the craft is that strong that I still went to set to finish what I started in the midst of that. So like that's just kind of why, you know, I got a certain stance on certain things. But that project will always be a special one because dealing with all that while that was going on and everybody on set, Keenan, man, like you won't find a greater dude, like real talk. Yeah. He knew I was going through some stuff and bro, you good? You know, and all this and that. So like Jay and everybody on that cast, man, that would always be a special project.
And that's all the more reason for y'all to support it, watch it, download it, stream it, buy it, all of the above. One thing that I think that's incredible about you actually offer your films on DVD and Blu-ray. Yeah. Tell the people the importance of doing this in 2024, because we understand this is a digital age now, but why is it important to you to do that now?
Man, it's just another medium. I just love having physical media, and if you're a movie lover, a true movie lover, somebody who values the art, you can't go wrong with having a physical copy of that art still. I know it's almost a bygone thing, kind of like CDs and cassettes, but just having that physical media is still something to that, you know, having a physical form of your art. So mostly for me, like I just ordered 3 of my own DVDs, and probably won't play them, be more as a keepsake, but just kind of putting them on that shelf, looking at them like, man, I made that.
Correct.
You know, and that's just a dope feeling. Being a cinephile myself, I still love having, you know, physical media and having that. So that was just dope.
And one of the things that's incredible, I don't know if everybody's paying attention, but a lot of these companies, they're going back, like, for instance, when it comes to actual, you know, albums, they're printing and producing actual albums and putting them in stores, VHSs. I'm seeing cassettes. I'm seeing tapes. I'm seeing all of these, you know, quote unquote retro, you know, mediums of watching and listening to projects. I'm seeing it come back around. So it's good that you do that. I see so many legendary people that going around still selling their tapes, you know, they're selling this stuff. And as you continue to grow and evolve, like there's going to be more of a market of people who want that. I want the vintage original copy of Betray on DVD. I got that. You know, the actors, the stars of the movie signed that for me. It's always gonna be a market for that, man. Especially with stuff like Comic Cons and all that type of stuff, man. It's forever gonna be a market for it. So I'm glad that you're doing that and continue to do that. Let's talk about the Guerrilla Filmer podcast, man. Let's talk about that.
Man, this is something I started just to kind of, you know, you always get messages on how do you do this? How do you do that? And it's not hard. And that was just me kind of, putting a testimony of how I'm getting my stuff done out there, just giving the tips and tricks to people out there who are interested in filmmaking. That it's not hard. Like, literally, if anybody can make a movie, you can, because I did. Like, it's nothing special about me. I was given a God-given gift to write, but even if you don't have that, go and network with somebody who can write. Go learn these skills like I did on YouTube, and go out there and just make something. And that's technically what I did. I just taught myself these skills, continued to put my foot to the fire to improve on these skills, and went out there and made something happen. So the Guerrilla Filmer podcast, which eventually I'm going to reboot it, kind of stopped it to get these movies off the ground. But it was just to kind of help those people who are interested in, man, how are you doing this? Like, just you and one or two other people on set. Like, how are you making these movies? How are you distributing these movies? How are you doing this? Just to kind of put that nugget out there and kind of, help people who are curious in that, even actors. I got a pod on there with my homie Keenan, just kind of talking about the director and actor relationships on this low budget level, just kind of putting that information out there, because a lot of people will look at certain things that happen and get a perception when it's different here. Like, you can't, like Taraji, the instance with her and her pay, like, that's a lady in Hollywood. That's a whole different situation than somebody here with a $10,000 budget, on a movie. Like, so it's just putting that information out there to try to help inform people on a more local indie level and people who are interested in getting into the business.
And of course, it's available if you want to check it out. It's on Amazon as well as YouTube. Where else is it?
It's just on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, you can search it on YouTube and find it pretty easily. It's the best place to get it.
No doubt. So go ahead, let the people know all of your social media as well as your website, that way they can stay in tune with you.
You can find me on my Facebook, Jaron Lockridge, Jaron Lockridge. You can search it, find me that way on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, whatever they're calling it now. Guerrilla Filmer, spelt like guerrilla warfare, but Guerrilla Filmer. You can find me on social media that way. Website is misguidedperceptions.net. It's currently under construction, but you should be able to get on there and submit to the newsletter if you're interested in casting calls and stuff like that in the future. And just look out, like the Stix is out now, Cubes of Konya is on the way, and got plenty more in the bucket, man. Just working, trying to stay working, keep putting content out here.
Absolutely, man. This is my favorite part of the show. We on Brink Radio. This is what I need you to do. Look into that camera right there. And for the people who listening on the radio, talking to that mic right there, tell them why they should consume your products. Tell them why they should watch the Stix movie. It's available right now. Tell them why they should watch Betray. That's available right now, as well as all of your projects. Go.
Well, you should watch it because a lot of people say they want to have content that's authentic. They want content that mirrors them. They want content from people around here. And the only way you can get that is to support the creators who make that content. So it's in a way just, it's support, but it's also putting, I guess your money where your mouth is, if that's a way to say that. Support these filmmakers out here, not just me, anybody. The Stix, it's out right now. You can support it. It's high quality work. I believe it's a great project. Support the project. Betray, it's a great project. Support the project. And if you want to see more people, you want to see Memphis, you want to see Jackson, you want to see wherever you're from, we're around here. I'm not going to Hollywood. I'm staying right here in West Tennessee. You want to see more homegrown content, people that look like us, people that talk like us, people who are us. Hey, man, support the content. We're going to make plenty more of it.
I love it, man. I couldn't have said it no better. You guys make sure y'all support him, man. He's doing this thing. Movies are available right now. Y'all tap in and support. He got merch. You got merch too, right?
Oh, yeah. I got, you get on the Stix Facebook page, plenty of merch. You get on the website, plenty of merch. I got it all day. Just search for it.
Like I say, support my guy. With that being said, I got to say thank you for being a guest on Brink Radio. It means a lot, man.
Thank you for having me, bro. I enjoyed it.
With that being said, now back to Brink Radio. Don't move.